What's good, Authentic fam? Welcome back to Authentic Alphas for another video response. Today we're going to be dissecting this whole 50 states, 50 dates, guys. Recent drama. So it's not going to be too much about him. He's doing his thing. But we're going to talk mostly about why are black women so irritated.
There is a Caucasian TikToker who has a pretty interesting page. And the name of his TikTok social media page is called 50 Dates, 50 States. He has over 550,000 followers. He seems to be doing fairly well. And what he does is he is pretty much documenting his dates with different women across the states, right?
He's doing a TikTok trend. Well, not really a trend. He's doing a show that he's promoting on TikTok where he goes on 50 dates in 50 states. And he's using, I don't know if he's using his own money or certainly it's his own show. So he could pick whoever he wants to pick, bro. Why would I? Y'all niggas think I'm gonna travel across the country to date people that y'all want me to date, nigga? I'm not meaning to quote a nigga. I'm dating who I want to date.
His content or his dating habits, his preference, however you want to phrase it. But what I'm gonna do is pretty much what I always do, which is give a much more in-depth analyzation of it. I'm going to analyze it and get down to it, to what it's really about. I'm going to give a different perspective as usual.
His name is Matthew Warnick. And from what I understand, he's having a good time. And then the ladies that he chooses typically are beautiful white women. All right. He's white, so beautiful white women. Okay. And I have nothing wrong with that. I think if a black man did something like that and it was beautiful black women, nobody would have anything to say. Unless you're Aunt Karen Zero. Now, Aunt Karen Zero has a huge platform on TikTok. Almost 3 times as big as 50 States, 50 Dates does. But she has a problem, or 50 States, 50 Dates, 50 States. But she has a problem with his dating preference. And the real problem that she has is that all he dates is white women. And let me just tell you how petty she is, okay? I'm going to play her particular statement here that she made about it, and then we'll come back.
This guy has made a show of going on a date with a woman from every state. And let me just show you why he's getting a lot of hate. I think it's fair to say that my guy has a type. But here's what really makes me mad.
As usual, nobody is digging past the first layer of nonsense. Everybody's stuck on the surface level, and there's a lot more going on underneath.
But here's what really makes me mad. This is the girl he...
That you're not his type.
Yeah, that's literally,
let's say it. You're not his
literally.
type. It makes you a little upset because you want to be everybody's type and you're fucking subconscious.
So shout out to Playback. And, they got a dope channel as always, and they've, made a huge following off of pretty much responding to the shenanigans and the nonsense of social media that is the current day. But here's the thing. They also aren't going past the surface. So I agree, yeah, she's probably a little uncomfortable, or, she's going to have some subconscious issues with the fact that you're not it, sis. But I don't agree with them. And I don't agree with O'Shea, and I don't agree with everyone else who thinks that this chick is genuinely triggered. Is she a little uncomfortable with it? Yeah, I think in general. I don't think it's this particular dude and his channel or whatever the hell he did in all 50 states, which is awesome. It's an awesome concept, man. It's dope as hell. I like the fact that he's young and having fun with it. He's also not a wheat waffles 8, 9, or 10 on the face rating. He's definitely not an Allende 7, 8 on the body rating, but yet he found a way to have an excellent time with women that's going to go down in history. I mean, this dude is going to have memories for the rest of his life, centered around just what he's doing in this particular chapter of his life, because it was so creative. And he was able to find a way to increase his status to that level that those women are throwing themselves at him because they want to be one of the 50 girls. So again, it was genius. So he beat the algorithm of women, basically. How guys are trying to beat the algorithm on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, he beat the algorithm of female nature. So kudos to him, genius. But back to my analysis of what's going on here. Aunt Karen or whatever, Aunt Karen Zero, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, sis. This is a gimmick. It's genius. She has a huge following. She knows her following is made up mostly of disgruntled black women. So all she's doing is she's feeding the hounds. That's all she's doing. She's like, oh, this kid got something that's genius. Let me take a little bit of that so I can feed my viewers and just make some quick content real quick, stir up some controversy, go viral, add to my following, and collect more angry, miserable, disgruntled women that are doing all of this when really the problem is they're mad at this. So I'm going to go ahead and break down more so why black women have this thought process, why they're so upset with what's going on with this particular guy, and I'm going to show you the whole bigger picture.
She has a problem. 50 states, 50 states, but she has a problem with his dating preference. And the real problem that she has is that all he dates is white women. He didn't date anybody else but white women.
It's not Aunt Karen that has a problem. It's her audience. It's her target audience that's going to have a problem with this.
You not finna play us, sir.
Who the fuck is us? Who is us?
See that right there? Listen to the words used. Listen to the vocabulary. You're not fitting to play us, sir. See, I not only listen to what people say, I pay attention to what they mean. But sometimes, every once in a while, what women say and what women mean is actually the same exact thing if you know how to decipher the vocabulary. So when she said, you're not fitting to play us, sir, what she's doing is she's speaking for her audience. What she's saying is, I know you guys are mad about this. I'm mad about this. So I know you guys are mad about this. It's classic instigating. Okay, so basically what she's saying to her audience, because she understands her audience very, very well, so I give her that. She understands her audience better than I understand mine. You know, I'm just being honest. And she's saying to these angry, low self-esteem black women, this dude went to 50 different states and still somehow did not find that one chick that looks like you. I want you to pay attention to the fact that she said, not fitting to play us. So what she's doing basically is rallying the troops, saying, hey, give me my views. I'm one of yous. All right. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about why her audience would be so sensitive to this and so easily triggered. And all she's doing is profiting off of their sensitivity on the topic. Taking advantage of people's emotional state.
I'll say every time in the video, they're all blondes, brunettes, redheads with this shade. You ain't gonna find a girl like me or even like a hue of melanin on that list.
Women in general, but of course we're talking about black women right now, but women in general, for some reason, they always seem to be like missing the obvious. If the obvious offends them, or if the obvious points out something negative about themselves, then they're blind, they're oblivious to the obvious. They're complaining about them being left out or them not being chosen, and then they're blaming it on something other than what the actual reason is, because what they're blaming is something they have no control over, but what the issue actually is, they have full control over. So, for example, fat women will say that the issue is that you're superficial, you're body shaming or something like that. And it's like, no, the issue is you're unhealthy and you don't want to address that. Black women will say, oh, you don't date black women, you're racist, or you hate yourself and all this other kind of shit. And it's like, are you sure it's not your personality and your attitude? So you're blaming your blackness because you can't change that. The point I'm making is I guarantee you if this dude was into black women, he wouldn't be dating black women that look like that because she's not an attractive woman. Now go ahead, all you virtual signalers, get in the comments and tell me, oh, Yenda, you can't say people are unattractive. You can't call women ugly. This dude is dating beautiful women. So even if he wasn't looking for a particular type as far as race, if that's the word you want to use, he still wouldn't be picking this particular chick. Okay, but of course she's going to raise her hand and be vocal about it because another thing that's irritating her is that the women he did choose all get far more attention than she does. So we know how much women value attention. So keep in mind, a lot of this is about just simply getting attention. Most of the women that are complaining about it, if not all of the women that are complaining about it, are women that don't get attention for anything other than complaining. They're not getting attention for twerking. They're not getting attention for their gorgeous face. They're not getting attention for their beautiful body. They're not getting attention for their lavish lifestyle. So what are they getting attention for? Complaining about someone else that's doing it big.
Is that there are people in the comments trying to convince me that they are able to find one that looks the most attractive out of all those girls. They all look the same.
But that's what I'm saying.
Let's do it now.
But see, that's what
Let's flip it.
I'm saying.
Let's
That's
flip
what I'm
it. Let's flip it
saying.
now.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if there was a white person sitting there saying that all black people look the same or all black women look the same, y'all know for a fact y'all will have a problem. And just looking at these women, bro, the first 2 women do not look the same as the next 2 women. Like I don't know what y'all are talking about.
You know why
bro.
people think that? Is when you've been living in a bubble. So like people actually think if you haven't been around East Africans, you're gonna think an Ethiopian and Somalian looks the same. If you haven't been around Asians, you're gonna think a
But we
Japanese
live
and a
in
Chinese person look the same.
Another below average attractiveness woman. All right. So again, I'm not saying that woman is unattractive because she's black. I'm saying that woman is unattractive because she's unattractive. Always very, very appreciative when I see beautiful brown sisters. And she's just not one of them. I'm sorry. She's not attractive, bro. I don't care what complexion she was. I don't agree with Playback's explanation for it. I don't think it's that, well, if a white person was to say all black people look the same, it'd be wrong. Or, well, what it is that they don't have a lot of exposure, so to them, all white women look the same. Absolutely not. That's not what it is. It's that these black women in particular, most black women, most Western black women, hate white women. They do. They really do. And they hate them for, female envious reasons. They just simply hate them because they get more attention. It's not even like a racial thing in that sense, like why this particular race might hate that particular race. It's just simply, and they get more attention, they get more privilege, they get higher value men to date them. It's just simply that. It's that they have a better life, they get better opportunities, and higher value guys are checking for them. That's where that hate and jealousy and envy comes from. Now, with that, they're going to put all these women into the same category, and they're going to make these little, sly-ass comments as if somehow these women are doing something wrong or trying to belittle these women at any shot that they can give. Like when Auntie Karen or whatever was like, where's the seasoning? So what are you trying to say? White women have no flavor now all of a sudden? So that's like you saying vanilla has no flavor simply because people aren't picking chocolate. So you're telling me that vanilla has less flavor than chocolate? No, it's just 2 different flavors. All right, but you're going to see all these little jabs that black women try to take at so-called white women. It's forgotten, or it's not heard, or it's forgiven, or whatever, simply because nobody cares. Nobody cares because they don't feel like these women are in a position to hurt any feelings. All right, and I hate to say that, but again, I'm just over here being honest. I'm not picking any sides. I'm just keeping it real. It's the same thing as when broke people are talking shit about rich people. Rich people aren't at home like, how could you say that about me, man? That's not right, man. Don't talk about it. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care what you're saying because in their mind, you don't exist because you're broke. White women's feelings aren't hurt because black women are constantly taking these little jabs here and there. They're not. They ain't checking for it. They're too busy shopping. They're too busy dating the men that the same black women are complaining that they can't get. They're just living their life, bro. These particular white women are living their life.
Thing is, if we're doing a TV show about dating in every single fucking state, I do not want to see blonde hair, blue eyes for every single fucking
And
state.
don't fucking watch.
Don't watch.
It's as simple as that. I swear to God, it's that simple.
And it's not your dates. It's his dates.
So again, Playback is they're trying to make sense of it from, like I said, that's a surface level. It's like, oh, you shouldn't care because that's who he's dating, has nothing. No. This is not about this dude, guys. This isn't about him. Listen to what she just said. And there's so much cap in what these women are even complaining about. She said, if you're going to go to 50 different states, I don't want to see every girl, blonde hair, blue eyes. Well, hold on, time out. Every girl was not blonde hair, blue eyed. He had white girls that all looked different. Were there a lot of blondes? Yes, but they weren't all blonde with blue eyes. That's number one. They weren't all blonde. There were plenty of chicks with brown hair. There were plenty of brunettes. He might even had some redheads in there. There were girls with green eyes, girls with brown eyes, girls with hazel eyes, girls with blue eyes. So, but why is she saying that though? Why is she saying just blonde hair, blue eyes? Pay attention, guys. These women aren't complaining about what happened. They're complaining about the narrative that they have in their head. It's in their head, the narrative that they have. They're trying to create a narrative because they just want to be heard. They just want to complain. They just want to commiserate. Why? Because they have no power over what the situation is, and they're not willing to change themselves. They don't have power over the men. They don't have power over guys' preferences. They don't have power over the so-called white supremacy. They don't have power over colorism. They don't have power over any of these aspects of life. The one thing they have power over is self. And that's the one thing that they're not trying to evaluate, or change. Instead, they're complaining about how the world should change. And this particular white boy from Rhode Island or wherever the hell he's from, I forgot where he's even from, they're complaining that this guy should change. And in other words, what they're saying is, please stop putting the truth and reality on display for us to see in agony.
I never married. I chose not to marry. But I always love it sometimes when guys will say, you know, that's my wife, or my wife called, or I got to get this for my wife. You know, just when you hear the word wife and you know that he's talking about you. Do you like that? Do you go, yeah.
It feels great, but I can say to make sure you have your own life before you're someone else's wife. And
all right, now I'm using this clip from Mediocre Tutorials because I think it is probably the most consolidated explanation for why we are where we are. So what you just saw was Oprah basically confusing her audience because she's sending mixed signals. On one hand, she's doing the whole single thing, never was married to a man type thing, right? But on the other hand, glorifying marriage in the context of Beyonce's marriage, but then Beyonce quickly discredits that and basically tells women to do the same thing that Oprah's been telling women to do, which is focus on yourself, be single, and have your own identity in your own life. Now, that's nonsense because, first of all, as a woman, how are you trying to exist in this vacuum and then be a wife? Because that's what Beyonce just said, which is two conflicting goals. You can't sit here and build yourself first and build your life and build whatever individually solo and then think, okay, now I'm going to go find a husband now. Really? So you're telling me that the husband is supposed to change and alter himself and compromise himself to fit you, to suit you? You're telling me the guy is supposed to jump on your program when you're wired to look for a guy that's more accomplished than you, taller than you, smarter than you, pretty much older than you, right? And has a plan and has a purpose bigger than you and yours. You want that guy now to make himself small to fit into your world. It's absolutely not going to work. But you'll find guys who don't have a purpose, who don't have a plan, who are smaller than you or the same size as you, who will probably accommodate you because, you know, they're weak like that. And then that guy you're not going to like, you're not going to want, you're going to complain about that guy. And then also, part of being married, that is what defines you. You are a wife, you are a mother, you are this, you are that to this particular family. So how are you telling women to not do that, but then expect that? It wouldn't even really make any sense. So these women have been set up for failure from they were little because of the heroes they were given. And there's nothing unique about that. They have given all of us false heroes and false idols to confuse us and derail us.
Beyonce, your pandering game is on a whole nother level. But real quick, before we unpack what Beyonce just said at the end right there, do understand this, especially for all you young cats out there who may not have the context, but Oprah and her impact back in the 80s and 90s for the growth and the spread of feminism was far beyond what Andrew Tate was able to accomplish in the past 6 months. She was the representation of, I don't need no man, I don't need no ring, forever dog mom, fighting the patriarchy, at the helm of works such as The Color Purple that did irreparable damage to black male image, and at the helm of Western culture through these ideals of empowerment.
The Color Purple, I like how he used the word irreparable damage, because that's exactly what all of these forms of entertainment have done to us as a society, but particularly the black community we're talking about. So black exploitation films, hip hop, all of these hate man films and TV shows they have given black women for the past 40 years. Again, this is all intentional. All right. And if you're already like in this conspiracy theory, I'm making stuff up, please turn this off immediately, because I'm trying to only talk to people with a high enough IQ to grasp what I'm even saying in the first place. The problem that we have is that the average person doesn't even have the IQ to even recognize these things when they're not even well hidden. You can simply go and read who is producing these films and these shows. You can look and see who's funding them, right? You can look and see who the casting directors are, and you start to realize, you start seeing the same names over and over and over again. Yes, the main actors might be different, the title of the movie might be different, the characters are different or whatever, but the people behind making these films, behind making these TV shows, behind making this music is all a very small group of people who are making these decisions and are putting this type of content and entertainment out there. And yes, they have a clear agenda. So black women hating black men is something that has been taught to them through the entertainment. And there's a reason why. It always was to separate the black man and the black woman. Okay, well, guess what? It's not a racial thing, guys. That's another thing we get hung up on, is thinking this is a racial thing. This is not a racial thing when they're doing it to everyone in society. It's just that they have to use different means to do it. You can separate the black household by simply introducing welfare and entertainment that has you fighting amongst each other. You have black men killing each other and fighting each other. You have black women hating, fearing, and not trusting black men. All right? Boom. Throw a little welfare money in there, sprinkle a little welfare money in there and some child support and some issues with that, and boom, you destroy the nuclear family. Now, with white folk, they had to do some different type things. They had to use feminism. They had to use no-fault divorce, right? So they had to use some different methods to break up the nuclear family in the white community. They've also accomplished that. Now that they've separated the man from the woman, now they start throwing in some other influences to get the women to start acting up now that they don't have the man overseeing the woman anymore, which is why twerk culture, thought culture, this social media thing, the OnlyFans thing, all these things are taking hold now because they've gotten the protector out of the equation, that protector being the male, and that protection being not from necessarily just outside stuff, but protecting women from themselves, whether they're young women or they're adult women. When you remove that man out of the picture, now the women just do whatever the magazines tell them to do. They do whatever Oprah tells them to do. They tell them whatever Kim Kardashian tells them to do, whatever TikTok tells them to do, because there's no man to say, hey, wait a minute, that's foolishness, and put back some logic and some order into the equation. Now they're just reckless, running around monkey see, monkey do.
These ideals of empowerment fed to you every single day in every single American household via syndicated TV. Her cultural impact has not been dissected enough, but there's a little bit of Oprah in every modern day feminist today. But anyway, modern women will eat up exactly what Beyonce is saying, because having your own life is without any context here whatsoever. Word to the wise, mottos or quick sayings do not make great life advice, because people will affix this short saying to whatever panders to the stage of life that you are currently in and want to stay in. Well, what if living in your truth is parting your ass completely off, posting beach thong selfies every single birthday, and consuming endless amount of love and hip hop?
That's absolutely correct what he's saying. When you give people these ambiguous catchphrases, they are going to alter it to fit whatever dysfunction they have in their life, to justify whatever dysfunction that they have in their life. I was just recently on Instagram looking for girls to interview, and I saw an attractive black chick who I thought was well-spoken, and then I come across this post.
I'm a good mother first. Whatever I do second, it's none of your fucking business.
So, I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't work out that way. You can't sit here and say, oh, I'm a great mom, but I'm doing all of this debauchery and all of this, foolishness and all of this sinful activity and everything like this over here, but I'm a good mother. What? What? Listen, chick, when you're out here chasing dudes, when you're out here getting bumped for fancy handbags and getting flown out and doing all kind of nasty stuff in Dubai, guess what? You're the same chick as when you're over here kissing your kid on the cheek. There's no separation, but these women seem to think that I could sit here and play mommy for now, and then I could go run off and go be a thought, but somehow I'm still a good mother. You're not. You're the same person. Just like he was saying, they're going to fix it, twist it, alter it, remix it to fit whatever explanation that's going to allow them to keep on doing what they're doing that they shouldn't be doing.
Leading to our question of the week. Why do black women feel so hurt when we see our black men with white women? Ladies.
I don't like to use the word hurt because I feel that puts too much weight on it. Personally, I am not that sad or affected when I see a black man with a woman of another race, unless he's very fine. And she is not what I really think is, a good match. But I do question a lot of their choices because when pressed or asked about it, a lot of them have really lame excuses.
All right, so there's a lot of lies and a lot of cat mixed in there with a little bit of truth. Now, they started off with saying, the question is, why are black women so hurt when they see black men with non-black women? And then the first thing that comes out her mouth is, well, I don't want to use the word hurt because I'm not really hurt. You see, this is the problem with women already, is that women have such a hard time just dealing with the truth. She's not even comfortable admitting that it hurts her to see black men choosing something else, right? Then she goes on to say, oh, unless the guy is fine or hot. Okay, see, that's where the little bit of truth is in there. Because most black men are with black women. So why are we even having this discussion in the first place? Well, because the guys who tend to have the most options, who are the most successful, who are the best looking, and so on and so forth, tend to be the guys that actually are dating out. I do want to point out that she's not the hottest sister. And I'm saying that if she's not the hottest black chick, why does she feel entitled to the best looking black guys? That's why I'm pointing that out. Is she a fairly all right looking sister? Yeah, whatever. She damn sure ain't my type. And she obviously is not the type of the guys that she thinks are fine. Because if she was, she'd always be with a fine brother and she wouldn't have time to notice him with a non-black woman.
Just say you like what you like and this is not it or this is it.
My problem with it is that I feel like Michael B. Jordan's fan base has been built on the backs of black women. And now he's afraid that he's going to lose his audience. So now he's clamoring and he's all these milk analogies and it's really strange. But we see this so often in Hollywood.
Yeah, and we're seeing right through it because all of those types of explanations, they just read as superficial and inauthentic. It's like, just own it, brother.
So much cap, so much hypocrisy. All right, show me, guys. Where are all the movies that Michael B. Jordan has made for black women? Show me the movies that were supported by black women majority. Please, I would love to know what are the titles that Michael B. Jordan was in that was targeted towards the black woman demographic, where they're the ones that built his career. According to this woman, he built his career off the back of black women. Yeah, I get it. Black women think he's attractive. They think he's hot or whatever, just like Idris Elba or whatever. But let's not get carried away and say black women built these black men's career. That's nonsense. Who are the black men that black women built their career? If you said Tyler Perry, I would be like, yes, I agree with you. Yeah, black women built Tyler Perry's career. They didn't build Michael B. Jordan's career. Knock it off. This dark-skinned chick had the nerve to say, just own it. No, black women need to just own that it's their attitude and the way they treat black men that are making them the last option. That's what it is. Just own it.
I think it hurts me as well, only because I see black partnership as a black investment back into our communities. And when you look at our families, the first person you love is your uncle or your father. And you see this example of black men and black women loving each other. And to think that a black man maybe went through his life without wanting to build that same type of family.
Stop the cap. Now she's trying to use the saming language. She's trying to act like black men are supposed to be loyal to black women because we're supposed to be building black families and all this kind of stuff. Listen, all of that would sound great. And I would be in full support of that because, it sounds logical. The problem is that the tone is that black men are the ones that are leaving black women and destroying black families and not willing to build a community. When the truth of the matter is it's black women that left black men because they were the ones that were emotional and easy to manipulate by the establishment. So they're the ones that ran off with their entertainment and believed what their entertainment taught them rather than what they were actually experiencing in real life in real time. It was black women that took the payout from the government in the form of welfare with the stipulation that they couldn't have a black man in the house over 18. Yes, they were black women that were standing by their man and hiding him in a closet so that they could get that check from the government every month and still keep the man in the house to raise the children. They were black women that weren't getting married on papers and weren't letting the man's name be on anything so that they could get the government's money and the man could provide for his family and they could get both of those incomes coming in. But that was the very small majority of black women. Most of the black women were saying, get your shit and get out so I can get this money from Big Daddy Grandpa. I'm going to go get my education and I'm going to go make money and all this other stuff. And guess what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to compete with the black man. I'm going to tell him that he's not good enough for me. I'm going to tell him that I'm smarter than him. I'm going to tell him that I'm better than him and I'm the most educated. They didn't go and get that education and come back and say, now that I got this education, you can go work these manual jobs. You can go be a plumber. You can go be a roofer or whatever. And we'll put our money together and, you know, work on that black family thing she's talking about. Miss me with all that bullshit. Because the black men, for the most part, are the ones who have been trying to somehow still make this family unit thing work. And the black women are the ones that have been screaming that I don't need no man. I'm going to be raising these children by myself. I'm going to go do this by myself. I'm going to do everything by myself, by myself, by myself. And then when those very same black men say, well, you know what? I still want a woman. I still want cooperation. I still want femininity. So I guess I'm going to go with this Asian chick that I met, in Korea while I was in the service. Or I'm going to go, marry this chick from Belgium that I met in Germany when I was, off fighting for our freedoms, Or I'm just going to go ahead and date this white woman here in America because she respects me and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. Black women just can't have these conversations honestly. And neither can any women for that matter.
I think it's 89% of the current men who are married are still married to black women, but that does not acknowledge how that statistics has evolved over time because these new brothers,
the new niggas.
They ain't doing what your daddy was doing back in the day. They on a new wave, which is a lot of times dating outside their race or this whole exotic thing. So
it's hard sometimes with conversations like these, and I think a reason a lot of black women don't even like to talk about it publicly is because
Well, let's point out all the miscellaneous cap in what she just said in that short little segment right there. All right, so this chick, first of all, is talking about it's hard to have these conversations publicly. The problem is black women have been having these conversations publicly instead of privately with just black men. That would be nice. Then she was talking about how 89% of black men are indeed with black women. All right, then, so what the hell are we complaining about? So you mean to tell me 89% isn't enough? You need the other 11% also? Why are we complaining about just 11%? It's also kind of like, why are these women choosing the worst men in the community and then calling all black men dusties? You see how their math just doesn't make any sense? They're not allowing black men into the conversation, and then they're wondering why black men are just like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and go elsewhere. And yes, right now we're talking about primarily black men dating non-black women. Well, actually, that's not even how the conversation started. It started because black women are complaining about a white dude not dating them. But I'm going to get to that and how we got to that. I just want to throw in there that a lot of dudes are just getting their passport. And a lot of these guys that are getting their passport, they're going to countries with dark-skinned women. So again, these women's logic just doesn't make any sense. They're just creating these straw man arguments because they refuse to, like she said, own it. The problem isn't your complexion, sis. The problem is your attitude. So much so that guys are willing to save their money, get their passport, and go to Brazil, go to DR, go to Panama, go to Mexico and find the part of Mexico that has black Mexicans. So these guys are going out of their way to go find colored women that act right. Just like this white boy is going out of his way to go to different parts of America and enjoy dating the variety of white women that he likes. So the same way that he's willing to change location, but for women that look the same, is the same way that black men are willing to change location for sisters that look the same, but don't behave and act the same.
You said you don't want to be labeled as angry or desperate.
Yeah.
And I know personally, I don't want to frame my whole life like around the fact of whether or not some black man opts to choose me or not. But I think it's valid to be able to say this is how we feel because we're already black women that exist in a world where we are not considered the standard of beauty.
Yeah.
And then to have, the men that look like you and the men that you, like you said, you loved your uncles and your fathers and your brothers, and these men that you grow up thinking that you're going to choose and they're going to choose you back, are getting the same message that, they're sisters and moms.
This is why these black women aren't getting any better results, why they're not resolving their issue. She's over here talking about, I'm not going to frame my value or my existence based on what black men. Sorry, sis, you're a female. So yes, it does matter what men you can attract. It does matter what men are interested in giving you commitment. Stop trying to separate the two, but then complain that the two are separated. You see how it doesn't make any damn sense? These women are saying that they don't care what men think. They don't care what men want. But at the same time, they're upset that men don't want them and aren't choosing them. So which one is it? Okay, I can't have a product and then say, hey, I don't care what the consumers think. I don't care what the consumers want. And then complain that I'm not making any sales on said product. Supposedly, she's not desperate. Black women aren't desperate. Well, if you're not desperate, then why do you keep having this conversation? Why do you keep bringing this up? Why do we keep on talking about how black men are dating non-black women, yet we're still over 80% of black men being with black women? I don't know. It sounds pretty damn desperate, sis. Pretty damn desperate. And then the last thing is her mentioning black moms and aunts and grandmas and nieces and all this other kind of stuff. When again, that's cap. All right. Having spoken to like thousands of black men in my life, most of them don't have a positive story to tell when it comes to how they were treated by the women in their very own family. Now, maybe that would be news to black women, but that shouldn't be. That just means that you're not listening to what black men are saying. You're not even asking them what they think or what they feel or what they're experiencing to the point where you're oblivious of it. And black men aren't supposed to be just taking to social media and taking all these public platforms to talk about how they don't like the condescending tone of their aunties and their mom. They don't like the negativity and the hatred coming from the women in their own family. They're not supposed to be discussing that with the world. Okay, they're not supposed to be talking about that on social media. But it's funny how black women don't have those complaints about black men. They don't have those complaints about black men in their family, which means black men are sucking it up simply because it's their sister, it's their cousin, it's their aunt, it's their mom. All right? But there was a content creator who's getting pretty damn popular right now for talking about getting his passport and going to other countries like Brazil. And he himself said that when his mom brought it up, he told his mom, hey, listen, you're one of the black women that's the problem. Very few black men are actually telling the women in their family, like, listen, I don't even like the way you treat me. I don't even like the way you talk to me. So you're over here telling me I should date and marry a black woman who has the same animosity and the same negativity and resentment that you have. A lot of black men move away from their families and they don't even explain to their families that that was the reason they moved. They be making up all these other excuses. They be like, oh, well, what it was is, the job offering me more money and they got lower state tax here. And no, what it is that they're just trying to get away from the miserable ass black women in their family who make terrible decisions and then bring more stress and more drama into their lives. And those very same women want to share that headache with them, but they won't allow those same men to protect them and guide them and counsel them out of those situations or to avoid those situations. So black men aren't allowed to tell their family members who to date or how to go about making decisions in their lives, but yet those same black men are supposed to be obligated, all right, to help when these women screw it all up. It is what it is, guys. All right. So finally, on the way out, the conclusion is that black women have been told for the longest that black men are the problem, black women are dusties, black men are whatever, and the third. And then they were given TV shows like Scandal, and they're constantly showing you these profiles on social media with white guys dating black women. So then now black women are thinking, oh, I can divest. I can date white guys. I could date all these other type of people. And now you got this dude with 50 states, 50 dates, straight up showing you white boys just ain't checking for black girls like that, sis. So that's really what it is, guys. At the end of the day, the animosity, the hatred, the negativity in between black men and black women has been skyrocketed to 9 million. And black women have been convinced or told or suggested or whatever that they're going to be able to just run off to Gary and Dustin and Chad and all these white dudes that apparently aren't waiting for them. They're not waiting for you. They're not checking for you, sis. They're not. They're either checking for their own women or they themselves are dealing with something exotic. But they damn sure are not waiting around for black women who have said that they don't even want their own men, which really translates to they're too disagreeable to get along with their own men. So what makes you think that white men are going to want to deal with that headache if you can't even get along with black men who actually have the highest tolerance? Let's keep it 100 real quick on the way out. When it comes to what you will put up with from women, you do realize that black men top the list. Western black men, English-speaking black men top the list on what they will tolerate from their women. You think white boys are complaining about white women? Nobody takes more shit from their women. Nobody takes more disrespect Okay, nobody takes more embarrassment. Nobody takes less cooperation. Any of the things that men are complaining about in modern women, no group of men have accepted or tolerated more of that from their women than black men. So if black women thought that they were gonna be incompatible with black men, and then somehow they were gonna hop over to other races, what were you thinking, sis? What? At some point in time, you have to care what men think, all right? And if you actually spoke to some white boys, they would probably be like, nah, I mean, we're not. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much for us. It's too much of a headache. All right. Anyhow, guys, I'm keeping it authentic as always. I suggest you do too. Peace.